Right, welcome to the second part of the, this will be a short series, probably a 3, maybe 4-parter on the modification of this SSL6000. In the last video, got up to getting the patch bays out, the equipment out, the cables ready to pull out through the console. So in this one, what I'll be doing is removing the remains of the power distribution cabling and switches. Actually I'll probably leave that bottom panel there. Take out the QSend meter bridge, the two PCBs behind there associated with, at least one of those is associated directly with the meters. The other one I'm not, actually the other one is the phase meter. So those two boards will be marked, all the cables marked and removed, and then I'll be pulling out all of the cabling associated with this end of the console that I'm keeping in the master section, pull all that back, get it dropped out the back. Then I'll be taking the end furniture off, jacking the console up a little bit and supporting it, taking the leg off, measuring, drilling, mounting the leg in this side, which gets this ready to unbolt, and then I'll unbolt it. So by the end of this video, the console will be down to its shortened state, end furniture will be back on, cabling will be sitting out the back. That's pretty much where I want to get with this one. Doesn't seem like a huge amount, but there's actually quite a bit involved in it. So let's get into it. I'm actually going to try and stop carrying on and just waffling on as much as I have been. I tend to do that. So let's just get busy and get into it. Okie dokie, the bit of a milestone. The 19-inch bucket, bay, whatever you want to call it, that the patch panels, the power routing, all of the DL connectors, everything in and out of this console in this bucket is now completely empty. All the ribbon cables are out. I had to end up having to snip off the ends of some of the ribbon cables, but that's no big deal. They're very, very easy to put back on if I need them. Most of them I won't need because they're related to the computer, or the multi-tracks, and the VCAs, and the VCA sends and returns for the computer. So those can easily be done at the bottom of the fader bus cards, which is where I'll probably do it, because I want to have minimal cabling in this thing. That's, you know, anything that's not necessary is not going to be in it. So I'm at the point now where this is ready to split this one off and then into the next one. I've released the front armrest and the back only up to this point here. So I'll get these two sections off, and then there's that one's free, and there's one up in there that's still got a release, and yeah, that was my elbow, that actually hurt. So anyway, so there's one more nut up in there that needs to be removed to allow that to come out. Then that will leave the chassis rails, if that's what you want to call them, the main supporting structure of the console that all of the buckets sit on, and the upper monitor bridge pad and the armrest will be just jutting out, and the earth bus bars. So I'll remove these three buckets, leaving those items jutting out, and then I'll make a plan on how to shorten those. Now the main supporting rails have got caps and threaded holes in the end, and that's for the end furniture to screw onto. So if I just cut those off, that's going to cause a problem with that. So I need to make a plan how I'm going to do that. I might even, I don't know, I'll have to make a plan. I don't really want to weld inside the house. It's too much of a fire risk, and it can just cause way too much damage. So I'm not going to be welding in here. Obviously I can't take the rest of the console out to just weld the two end caps on, so I might even, if I cut the ends out, or even if I make up some end plugs that can go in, and then a captive screw from either side or a captive bolt from either side, but then I'll work that out. A little bit of basic engineering, that's easy stuff. At the end of the day, it needs to be safe and secure. Anyway, so let's get to splitting this off. Alright, so theoretically I've got all of the screws and bolts out, so it should now split the 19-inch part off it anyway. Oh, still a screw in there somewhere. Can't believe how many screws are actually in this thing. There is no way that it's going to accidentally fall apart. Oh, there's one. That was a hidden one. A bit tricky to get to as well. That's it. It's always one. Now let's see what we can. No, still something. Oh, there's another one. One's hidden under some. Another one. Trying to save every single screw because there's a 100% chance that this is going onto another console. Because Anthony wants this one. There's a bolt on the earth buzz bar that's stopping it sliding out. Watch it get these numbers. There we go. Alright, there's the next milestone. There's the 19-inch patch bay bucket removed. So it's just a matter of undoing another well, I was going to say billion screws, but it's just short of that, but it's a lot of screws. So let's get the next 2 buckets out. Main earth bar, that's got to go back in. Next bucket. 1 more to go. Okay, the last bucket to be removed. It's all released. It should pop off, and it does. This one was a fair bit easier. Fair bit easier than other ones, particularly the middle one. All right, well here's the end pieces. So there's the bars that I've got to modify, and I've got to move the leg over to underneath there. So that's the length of that's the size the console is going to be. So obviously there's some rebuilding and some terminating to go on here, but that side of it's going to remain the same. There's the removed buckets over there, and here's the pile of parts. There's quite a few parts underneath that white sheet there. There's another pile of channels, 16 or 20 channels underneath there. There's the 688 over there and associated parts, patch bays, stereo strips, and furniture, etc, etc. So it's a significant pile. And that's the corner that it's going into over there. Alright, so here it is in its shortened glory. So this is the size that it's going to be. Obviously there's still a bit more to do. I had to take the front rest off just to make it easier to get the 2 buckets out. I really should have taken the top monitor bridge off, or whatever you want to call that top piece, that dress piece. It did make it fiddly down there then, but you know, I'll be able to. I'm just going to cut that. There's no point trying to remanufacture it, so I'll just cut the vinyl, pare it back, cut the timber, glue and staple, and then I'll do the same thing with the armrest. I'm not going to bother about a keyboard or anything. This is not going to be my main workstation. It's really just going to be a side mixer if I'm doing any kind of mixing or even a bit of tracking or whatever. It's just going to be a cool piece of gear to have, you know. These things don't grow on trees, as you know. So the end furniture will be going back on. Clearly I've got to shorten these rails, move the legs across. That's not a huge deal. What I am going to do is move the leg first, get it all supported, just have that swinging, and then I'll cover this all up, cut through with probably a reciprocating saw, and then I'll take the end pieces off, modify those and make them so they can go in as a plug and then bolt through. So they'll be sturdy, solid, and it's only the end furniture, even though it weighs a ton. It's just the end furniture that it's supporting. So there it is. That's where I'm going to leave this video. The next one will be doing that chopping, moving the leg, cutting the furniture, putting the end furniture back on, and I'll also put some nice heavy duty casters instead of the adjustable feet. I'm going to put some nice heavy duty casters underneath it so that it can be moved around the studio. Not that I want to be moving it around the studio, but I want to be able to move it over into that corner over there. That's my old workstation. So that's currently got a PreSonus Series 3 64 channel digital mixer on it. So that'll be coming out, and it will be going into that corner. That's pretty much where it's going to live. And I'll be building a new workstation for here that's also going to roll in and out, and that's going to be primarily for editing. It's a multi-purpose workstation, so for video editing, soundscaping. The space is pretty much these days used more for film and television post-production, so that's what I'm going to be setting it up for. And if I want to use this, I can either use it over in the corner there, or I can swing it out easily and have it sitting next to my workstation. That's pretty crazy, but it makes it really functional. And if it's on casters, then it's not ridiculously difficult to move. This floor is a concrete floor with just industrial carpet tiles over it, so heavy things roll over it quite well. So that's where we're at. Yeah, I hope you're finding this interesting. I know the format of my videos are pretty boring, but I'm really just trying to document the modification of this console. And once it's all back together again and movable, it will be quite a few months before I get to the next stage where I start delving into the electronics and the build up. So got a lot going on in the next 5 to 6 months, and I'm just not going to have the time to delve into this too much. So from around about July, this is 2025, so from around about July, that's when I'll be most likely head down, bum up back into that, and get it up and running. Don't get me wrong, I'm motivated to get this going. I want it working, and I'm really looking forward to having it running properly. So it's going to be a good unit. I will be putting up some of these parts for sale. Either that 19-inch bucket or another one that I've got in storage, which is completely disassembled and easily shipped because it's just flat, but it is complete. That's already spoken for. That's going to be going down to Melbourne. The other bits and pieces, I'll be going through it, deciding what I want to part with, what I want to keep. I'll put a few bits and pieces up for sale, but I'm also, as I've explained previously, I'm going to be looking at setting up some 2-channel 2x mono little sidecars. So anyway, catch you later.